a comfortable place in your seats. Place your feet flat on the floor if you can and if you will. Close your eyes if you feel comfortable doing so. And take a deep breath in. As together we enter into a time of meditation followed by silence.
Welcome and good morning, everyone. I am Katie Cartman, the Director of Religious Education here at Emerson Unitarian Universalist Church in Houston, Texas. Our beloved community of faith, reason, and affection welcomes all to grow in mind and spirit as together we build a better world. If you are joining us for the first time this morning, we extend a special welcome and invite you to fill out our visitor card so you can receive more information about Emerson and our activities. Again, welcome to all. We are a church in many places, some of us here in the pews, and some joining us from YouTube, from home, or wherever we might be. And our world is a different one than it was in early 2020. Our worship service has changed accordingly. We're giving people choices about where they sit in the pews, as far as distance between families, and whether or not they would like to continue masking. We've put a few offering baskets at the front and back of the sanctuary for people to drop off their offering throughout the service, rather than passing the plates. For those of us in the sanctuary, I'm going to give you a less fortunate news, and then we'll go into the happy-feely stuff. We've just heard that because of the city workers, we may not have water pressure in the building right now. So please, if you need to use the facilities, you can, but don't freak out if things don't work exactly the same way you're expecting them to. Okay, back to the normal. For those of us in the sanctuary this morning, let's take a moment to picture the dozens of friends, neighbors, and those we've not yet met who are taking part in this service on YouTube either right now or later in the week as our schedules allow. Let's go ahead and give them a wave. And a special welcome to our children and youth. If you'd like to go to our Sunday school, we'll head down there after the offering. Just follow me to our classroom at the end of the RE hallway. Today, our own Jill Rose will lead our session where we'll taste and learn about fair trade chocolate. And yes, adults, there may be leftovers to share after the worship service. Please take a moment to put your cell phones, tablets, and anything else you got in your pocket in worship mode. That means you can still do things with it, but make it so it won't ding or ring or distract us otherwise. Following the worship service, folks in the pews may head out to the courtyard and playground to chat, and we'll also have social time on Zoom, hosted by Board Trustee Marilyn Rambo. A chance for you to gather in smaller groups to discuss the service and what's going on in your lives. And now for our prelude.
Good morning, everyone. I am the Reverend Michelle LaGrave, interim minister of this congregation. This morning's service follows our monthly Soul Matters theme of celebrating blessings. Whoever you are, wherever you come from, wherever you find yourself on your life's journey, whichever your pronouns, whether you walked in or rolled in or dialed in, whomever you love, you are welcome here. Rejoice, rejoice with full hearts, beloved of people of blessing. Rejoice. May this time of worship celebrate what we know at our core. Blessings are real and ours to claim and radiate. Blessings are abundant and ours to revel in and pass along. Blessings are transformational and ours to be challenged by as we grow towards the faith we know we can be. Rejoice. For our chalice lighting this morning, I would like to invite Emma Miller to come up and light our chalice for us. The flame we kindle in the chalice of faith holds blessings of warmth and light and life-giving energy. It shines forth a beacon to guide us all home. It lights up our longings to connect and to share. It possesses the power to shape a world where equity and compassion reign supreme. May this warmth and light and life-giving energy celebrate the blessings we have claimed and help us to extend them in hands and hearts that offer these blessings to all. Let us rise either in body or spirit and join in singing our opening hymn, which is number 389 in the gray hymnal, Gathered Here.
list. I'm going to give you 2 examples to get us started. I remember the day that we brought my infant sons home from the hospital. We had scarcely pulled into the driveway before one of our neighbors rushed out her front door and called out, "Can I bring you guys dinner?" We hadn't even gotten kids in the house when 3 minutes later, she showed up, 2 trays of food. I am certain she whipped that food out from underneath her husband's nose, and we ate their dinner that night. It was roasted chicken on the bone, gravy over mashed potatoes, canned peas, which I had never before or since eaten, and a little bowl of butterscotch pudding garnished with 4 mini M&Ms. Y'all, that was 23 years ago, and I remember every detail of that dish. My husband, who has no memory to speak of, could rattle off what we had, and how none of it was like our choice or especially delicious, how much that blessed us. Something we didn't even know we needed in that moment. So, more recent example. Last Sunday, for those of you who are in the service, you might have noticed we had a computer gremlin. It shut down the computers, which wouldn't have been so bad except for we had a Zoom speaker coming in from Vermont, I think. And so suddenly we had this dead space. Our music director, Julia, asked Sean, thank you, Sean, to please just reprise our special music, which was "What the World Needs Now is Love, Sweet Love." And without any prompting, Stephen Lips stood up and started a congregational sing-along. I don't know more than 3 lines of that song, but it was something special. Julia thanked him profusely because he had taken a really awkward moment and blessed us with something special. Nothing planned, nothing extravagant. So I want each of us to take a moment to think about a time that you have been blessed by somebody else. It might be something they said, something they did. And then I want you to turn to somebody sitting near you and take a minute or 2 to share a little bit about that. You may not get to all the details, but specifically think about how it made you feel. I will ring the chime when we're ready to come back together. Go for it. pretty good, y'all. Just everybody murmuring amongst yourselves. So can I get a few people to just give a quick shout out of how did it feel when you were blessed? Yes, Miss Ruth. It felt nice. Yup. You loved it. Yes. What else?
I felt valued.
You felt valued. Yes. One or two more people? Happy? Included. Yes. May we always be open to seeing the blessings as they're coming our way. And then the best part, knowing that each of us can also bless the world. Again, it doesn't need to be some big, planned, extravagant thing. It's just us doing something nice, including somebody, showing them, we see you, you are valued. That, my friends, is a piece of building that world we all dream about. Thank you.
Giving out of what is our own is a transformative act, a blessing, if you will. As a community of faith, we collect an offering not for ourselves or our congregation, but to give to others, as a collective action of our community and as a way to live out our shared values. Please give with a generous heart to support our June Share the Plate recipient, First Nations. Their mission is to strengthen American Indian economies to support healthy Native communities. They invest in and create innovative institutions and models that strengthen asset control and support economic development for American Indian people and their communities. Excuse me. Local UU churches are teaming up to hire a coordinator for our upcoming UU the Vote effort, encouraging people across Houston to vote. In 2020, having a coordinator was very helpful, and we hope to improve on our record in this important election year. Emerson's share is $3,000. Special donations are appreciated. Make checks out to Emerson UU Church, pardon me, marked UU Vote Coordinator. While we are raising these funds, 25% of our Share the Plate offerings will temporarily go to this account instead of Meals on Wheels. Let's all pitch in and make it happen. We have 4 ways to give. You can text the number on the screen, go to our webpage for online giving, place your offering in the basket, or mail a check to the church.
Please find a comfortable place to be or in your seats. Place your feet flat on the floor if you can and if you will, so that you might feel grounded, more connected to the earth which nourishes and sustains us all. Close your eyes if you feel comfortable doing so, and take a deep breath in as together we enter into a time of meditation followed by silence. Here in the refuge of this Sabbath home, we turn our busy minds toward silence and our full hearts toward one another. We move together through the mysteries, the bright surprise of birth, and the shadowed questions of death. In our slow walk between the two, we will be wounded, and we will be showered with grace. Amazing, unending, even in our sorrows, we feel our lives cradled in holiness we cannot comprehend. And though we each walk within a vast loneliness, the promise we offer here is that we do not walk, we do not move alone. This is a holy place in which we gather. The light of the earth brought in and held, touched then by our answering light, the flame on a chalice, the flicker of a candle, the lamps of our open faces brought near. In this place of silence and celebration, solemnity and music, we make a sanctuary and name our home. Into this home we bring our hunger for awakening. We bring compassionate hearts and a will toward justice. Into this home we bring the courage to go on after hard losses. Into this home we bring our joy and gratitude for ordinary blessings. By our gathering, we bless this place. In its shelter, we know ourselves blessed. Now, let us enter into the silence together. Amen, and blessed be.
Our first reading this morning is from the New Testament book of Mark, chapter 5. Now there was a woman who had been suffering from a flow of blood for 12 years. She had endured much under many physicians and had spent all that she had, and she was no better, but rather grew worse. She had heard about Jesus and came up behind him in the crowd and touched his cloak. For, she said, if I but touch his cloak, I will be made well. Immediately her flow of blood stopped, and she felt in her body that she was healed of her disease. Immediately aware that power had gone forth from him, Jesus turned about in the crowd and said, "Who touched my cloak?" And his disciples said to him, "You see the crowd pressing in on you. How can you say, 'Who touched me?'" He looked all around to see who had done it, but the woman, knowing what had happened to her, came in fear and trembling, fell down before him, and told him the whole truth. He said to her, "Daughter, your faith has made you well. Go in peace and be healed of your disease." Our second reading is by J. Hume, Jesus at the Gay Bar. He's here in the midst of it, right at the center of the dance floor, robes hitched up to his knees to make it easy to spin. At some point in the evening, a boy will touch the hem of his robe and beg to be healed, beg to be anything other than this. And he will reach his arms out, sweat damp and weary from dance. He'll cup this boy's face in his hand and say, "My beautiful child, there is nothing in this heart of yours that ever needs to be healed."
Community of integrity that ages. I don't want this sermon to get down. I don't want this sermon to leave us without hope. There is. Clearly, we have gremlins in the sound system. The special music this morning was meant to be "I Know This Rose Will Open," which is number 396 in the gray hymnal if you want to see the words. But basically it says, "I know this rose will open. I know this fear will burn away." In good deeds, by engaging in mitzvot. So this is Pride Month. GLBTQ+++, Pride. It happens in June to commemorate the Stonewall riots of 1969, which happened starting June 28th. We celebrate Pride in order to turn away from that fear, in order to burn away that shame, in order that some of us might feel, in order to counteract that stigma which still exists in society. And there is still reason to fear. Yes, we have come a long way in many, many respects. When my spouse and I first got married, when we were dating and engaged and first married, one of my biggest fears was that he would wind up in the hospital and I would be kept from his bedside, not allowed to visit him. I no longer have that fear, but I may again someday. But I want to talk about something more recent as yesterday, actually. Yesterday in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, 31 white nationalist members of a hate group were arrested. They were dressed in riot gear and prepared to disrupt the Pride festivities in Coeur d'Alene. So we can focus on that fear, that near miss. That would be easy to do. And yet, Do you know how they got caught? Someone saw them loading themselves into the back of a U-Haul truck, and they called 911 and said, "I just saw something that looked like a mini army." They could have been afraid that the people dressed in riot gear would have seen them and known who they were, and they were the one to call and report them. I don't know how many people were around, what that experience might have been like for that person. But that person called. That person called. And so something that could have been a horrible tragedy was completely averted yesterday. That woman's phone call, that is a blessing. That is a blessing. J. Hume, who is a poet, writer, trans man, and a Christian, wrote the piece Jesus in the Great Gay Bar. And he says about that piece that obviously it's a mirror to the first reading that we had about the woman who was bleeding and who was therefore considered unclean. An unclean woman who had been bleeding for 12 years came up and touched the robes of Jesus. And instead of Jesus being horrified, instead of him criticizing her or reading her the riot act or whatever, instead he blessed her, told her to go in peace, that she was healed. And the poem which mirrors that, the one about Jesus being in the gay bar, he says, yes, there is some healing in this poem. He says there is nothing in this heart of yours that ever needs to be healed, and yet that's not quite true. There is healing in this poem. It's just not the healing you would expect. The boy's queerness is not healed because it does not need to be healed. And it is through not healing the boy's queerness that the boy, and hopefully the reader, is healed of whatever it is in them that made them reach out to Jesus in the first place. Their heart is not healed of queerness, but maybe their heart is healed of internalized or externalized homophobia or transphobia. Maybe the shame is lessened. Maybe the stigma is reduced. Maybe the fear is melted away. And that is where the healing is found. Within Christianity, which Unitarian Universalism emerges from Christianity, there are many, many concepts of what a blessing is. If I were to define it theologically, I would say that a blessing is a manifestation, sometimes a physical manifestation, of a divine gift, of divine grace. I've preached before about what grace and what that is. So the blessing is the manifestation of that grace. And that divine or holy grace may come from something bigger than any of us know or understand, that some people or some of us may call God, but it can also come from each other. It comes from us as a human body. In more plain spoken terms, we could say that it is a gift. That a blessing is a gift that we have not earned, a gift that we do not deserve more than any other person might deserve that same gift. There are concepts of blessings in many, many, many of the world's religions. In Buddhism, His Holiness the Dalai Lama defines blessing as transforming into magnificent potential. Transforming into magnificent potential. The route to the Bodhisattva, or the Buddha. He says blessing refers to the development of virtuous qualities that you did not previously have, and the improvement of those good qualities that you have already developed. It also means decreasing the defilements of the mind that obstruct the generation of wholesome qualities. So actual blessing is received when the mind's virtuous attributes gain strength and its defective characteristics weaken or deteriorate. And yes, I would change some of that. That was a quote. I would change some of that language from defective to less desirable. I'll let you do that on your own. But the main point is that in Buddhism, blessing can be seen as transforming into magnificent potential. In Hinduism, Abhilash Rajendran says that a blessing, Ashirvad, literally means blessing in Hinduism. He says it flows from the deep-rooted Indian virtue of venerating the elders. That there is a custom of bowing down and touching the feet of elders in order to seek their blessings, and that is a common tradition that has roots that can be traced to lots of different Vedas and Puranas and Dharmashastras. He says that today Hindus take Ashirvad in lots of different situations. They might take Ashirvad from their elders before beginning a journey, before doing important work, before or during marriage. They might take Ashirvad after returning home, after staying away or being away from their elders for a long time. The benefits, if we can call them benefits, of venerating the elders leads to, according to him, longevity, learning, fame, and strength. Veneration of the elders, he says, adds grace to social life and promotes spiritual well-being. Receiving a blessing promotes spiritual well-being. But it's not just elders who bless children or bless the generations younger than them through Ashirvad. He says in the Vaishnava tradition, the act of blessing is done to the divine being. That the devotee considers himself or herself the parent and treats God as their own child. He says the classical example is of a mystic saint who considered God as younger to himself in age and blessed him and his entourage with a hymn which says, loosely in English, "May you thrive for several thousands and millions of years." So in Hinduism, blessing, Ashirvad, leads to spiritual well-being. It is often done by elders who are being venerated from younger generations. It can also be done by devotees blessing God. In Judaism, Rabbi Yoel Kahn says that the blessings we offer are indeed powerful, but they are not magical. On our own, we do not have the power to cause that which we yearn for, nor do we have the power to compel God by the force of our invocation of lending a hand. by offering He says, no, like our other prayers, blessings are aspirational. We express in word and gesture our deepest yearnings. A blessing in Judaism is an expression of hope. And that expression of hope, that act of blessing, is not dependent on the fulfillment of its words. This is the part that I really love. He goes on to refine this concept of what a blessing is in Judaism. The blessing is the act of giving, the connection that is created, and the faith and caring that are expressed in the words and gestures. The experience of receiving a blessing, the experience of hearing and seeing, the focused spiritual attention, and the physical connection of touch can be a source of sustenance, faith, and meaning. And he's talking about that act of blessing between humans, one person to another. It is an act of giving. It is an act of receiving, experiencing focused spiritual attention from another person. How beautiful is that? And that act affirms our deepest connections between one another and also with the source of all, with God, the holy, the universe, the cosmos, however we understand that. Rabbi Hanan Schlesinger says in answering the question, what does it mean to be a blessing, that while God might bless us, we must pass those blessings along. We ought never to hoard blessings for ourselves. He says that God gives us life and light and sustenance and hope, and so we must give those blessings to others as well. That those blessings are not meant to flow into us, but rather to flow through us. He says you can be a blessing. You can be a blessing with something as simple as a smile or a hug or a helping hand, by offering an invitation instead of waiting to receive one, by opening up to a stranger, by making someone feel at home, by teaching, by helping others to learn, by offering insight and inspiration and encouragement and a kind word. It is not hard to find ways to be a blessing. You just have to constantly be aware and looking for those opportunities to be a blessing in the life of someone else. He says we should always ask ourselves, is the world a bit better of a place today because of me, because I'm here in it? Has my existence added anything to the sum total of blessing in the world? Take a moment for that. Has it? He says being a blessing is not only a matter of doing as little harm as possible, and his example is something like reducing our carbon footprint, but that we have to go beyond that. That we have to strive not only to refrain from damaging, yes, we refrain from damaging, but we must also repair. Not damage, refrain from damaging, and repair. Acting to repair is acting in a way that spreads blessings in the world. There are lots of ways we can be blessings in the world. The examples that the rabbis gave were fairly simple, easy ones, but we can do things that are more complicated, much more difficult as well. We can give reparations for slavery, whether formal or informal. We can donate money to organizations that work to create a better world. We can do our own work of educating ourselves and learning how to be anti-racist, how to be anti-oppressive. We can do really big things on the societal level, like creating a system of universal health care that is found in some countries, but not our own. So there is, in conclusion, some kind of concept of blessing other people, divine blessings, blessings between humans, in pretty much all of the world religions, the world over. The definitions and the way they work and how they are understood vary a bit here and there, of course, because we come from different cultures, different histories, different backgrounds. But almost all of us can receive and pass on blessings. So I end by saying this to all of you who I've only known in person for such a short time, online a little bit longer. May you each be at peace, resting in a feeling, in the knowledge that you are whole. You are whole already, the way you are. May you live without fear, and may you be a blessing to all others as you yourselves are blessed. Amen, and blessed be. Now let us rise either in body or spirit to sing our closing hymn, which is number 126, Come Thou Fount of Every Blessing, verses 2 and 3. Please remain risen. So one of the elements of Unitarian Universalist theology and practice, which I absolutely cherish, is that the act of blessing and ministering is not reserved for the clergy. Any one of us can bless any other one of us. And so this morning, I invite you all to join in singing the benediction. And while we do so, to turn around, to look at your fellow people, and to think about what you are hoping for them. Blessed be.
Good morning. We're 2 weeks out from a congregational meeting on Sunday, June 26th, a different time, 11 a.m. We will be meeting to fund the search committee, and worship will follow that vote. Next Sunday, June 19th, we're hosting the Innovative Energy Fest from 3 to 5 in the courtyard. See Dory, Wolf, or Ann May for more information. And today, as usual, we are having social hour out in the courtyard with coffee and snacks in the front room of Westwood Hall. But today is also really special because Reverend Michelle's having pizza out in the courtyard with children and parents at 12:15. And there's an opportunity for more free pizza. There will be a meeting of all who wish to join in the library at 12:30 to create the Emerson Lunch Bunch, which we hope to start in a few weeks. If you would like to be part of planning for get-togethers after church to enjoy lunch, we hope this will be for members and guests. We hope you'll join us after social hour. And a special note, we hope that parents of the youth who are meeting with Reverend Michelle can come upstairs to the library as well, because we really hope to make this a family-inclusive event, the Lunch Bunch. See you after bit. Oh, and one more thing I forgot about. New visitors and old friends are welcome to attend open house this morning. This will be with our membership coordinator, Audrey, upstairs in room 208 at 12:30 today. Feel free to grab some pizza and in the meantime, and then join Audrey if you'd like to know more about Emerson.